Hi, welcome to Insight Wellness. Today I'm going to be sharing something really important. In the last 4 years, I've been teaching young people about themselves, about who they are, and I've been focused on the social and emotional aspect of things. And while that is effective, I found that when we don't address the spiritual part of us, we do not allow ourselves the opportunity to become wholesome beings. And so recently, I started to be intentional about addressing our children's spiritual needs. One of the things that I found as people of faith is that we're very focused on our own spiritual growth, but we don't give the same energy to teaching our children, teaching them how to seek God for themselves. And because we're not just emotions and body, we're also spirit. When we neglect, the spiritual part of ourselves, we're neglecting the most important part of who we are. And so, you become like a table that's got, one wobbly leg, but looks okay. And so one of the most important decisions I believe I've made is to begin to pay attention to the spiritual needs of our children. And so on Saturday, this Saturday, I'm going to be looking at understanding purpose, not just as it um, affects who you become, the kind of work you do, and all of that, but also looking at it from the perspective of what are you here on earth to do? And the sooner people learn these lessons, the better. One thing that I found as I interact with older people, with adults, is that many people struggle with a sense of who they are and a sense of why they are here. Most people you would find are just going through the motions, so we were born, we go to school, we get a job, we get married, we have children, and then we try to make more money so we can cater for our children, and then we pass it on to our children and they repeat the cycle. And because we live in a world that judges you um, on your material acquisitions, a lot of people have this sense of accomplishment, which sometimes beclouds them from accessing the purpose of God for them. And so, one of the best things you can do for your child is to expose them to why they are here on earth, because there's a purpose. Before every one of us came, there was a purpose that we're supposed to come and fulfill. And you might be successful by the world's standard, but you will know if you haven't even started to scratch the surface of why you're here. And that's why it's very possible for somebody to have the life that you dream of, and yet they're not content. And you hear people saying, oh, this person has everything going for them, and still. And that's because our purpose is not in the material things that we acquire. And so if you're a parent and you have an adolescent, I'd like to encourage you to sign them up for the Understanding Your Purpose webinar, which is holding this Saturday. Last month, we addressed identity and we looked at what identity is. We looked at what self awareness is. And I can tell you that a lot of people struggle with who they are. Many of us see ourselves in the light of who people think we are, who people say we are. We see ourselves in the light of what we have accomplished, what we have achieved, but we don't really know. A lot of us haven't met ourselves, even as adults. And that explains why many of us, are in very bad relationships. Many of us made marital choices. Many people made marital choices, based on who they thought they were. You know, many people are still suffering in, with the bad decisions that they've made because they were making decisions based on what they believed someone else expected. And so, one of the most important things you can teach your child is to know who they are. And last month, that's what we focused on. Who are you as a person? And how much of yourself do you know? Because that's also important. It's not just enough um, to be something or someone. You need to be aware of who you are. You need to be aware of how people view you, the misconceptions that people have about you, and the impact of all of that on yourself. And so we looked at that, and then we addressed why it's important to have a strong sense of identity. We also addressed the things that hinder us from coming into a place of um, identity. What are those things that hinder us from knowing ourselves? We also addressed why we are the way we are. So am I stuck with being this person? People say, oh, this is how I am, take me or leave me. The truth is, nobody is stuck being a particular way. There's so much you can do to transform, and there's a scripture that says, be renewed. Do not be conformed to this world, but be renewed, you know, with the word. So there's so many possibilities for you. And so we looked at how do I understand my identity? And like I said, it starts with God because you didn't bring yourself here. Your parents didn't just decide, okay, or you didn't just decide, oh, we want to have children and bring them into the world, even if though it looks like that. The truth is, if you bring a child into this world, it's because God ordained for that child to be here. Okay, and so last month we looked at identity, and this month we're going to be looking at purpose. And for purpose, we're going to be looking at what purpose is. We're going to be looking at why it's important to have a strong sense of purpose. A lot of people, a lot of young people struggle with, sense of direction. So who am I? Where am I going? And so, attending that class will help them understand what their purpose is. We will also address the things that hinder your purpose. Why are you not working in your purpose if you're not? And then we would look at how to walk into your purpose. Another very important thing that we're going to be discussing this month is the signs of a life that lacks purpose. And so I'd like to encourage you, if you're a parent, and you have adolescents, 10 years old to 19-year-olds, I'd like to encourage you to sign up. There's going to be a registration link in the description below. The program is free, but you have to register. One of the best feedback I got, one of the responses I got from our feedback form was that the program, even though it was designed for adolescents, was very, very beneficial for adults as well. So if you want to attend for yourself, you're more than welcome. Or if you have children who are older than 19, so you have young adults as you know, as children, um, don't say, oh, it's not, for your age. Let them come as well, because like I said, even adults still struggle with a sense of who they are, with a sense of where they are going. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people struggle with depression, because there's this feeling that they are lost and they don't even know, what the purpose of their life is, even though outwardly all seems to be well. So I'd like to encourage you, go to the description below and click on the link to register. I look forward to seeing you.